Hey guys! So, we've been needing an additional work from home setup for a while now, and we even sold our sofa and our TV to make room for one at home. And here it is. Today we're going to show you guys how we put together our perfect work from home setup that's not only aesthetically pleasing but also functional, with a focus on really clean cable management. On top of that, our setup also functions as a hot desk, so Lloyd and I can both use it by plugging only one cable in. In case you guys are interested in any of the items that we use, we'll have everything listed throughout the video as well as in the description down below. Anyways, let's get into it. Our first challenge was finding the right desk, because there's a pretty big size difference between Lloyd and I. A standing desk was also a must, because Lloyd has an old back injury that can be aggravated by sitting for too long. After looking around, we really loved the desks we saw at Ecobor here in Hong Kong, and they were kind enough to send us their iEasy standing desk, which we've been using for over 2 months now. The desk is extremely sturdy with a maximum load of 100 kg, and the range of height adjustment can accommodate both Lloyd and me comfortably. The desk has 4 programmable saved heights, a USB charging port, and a cable snake management system, where you pop cables inside to use with the standing desk, which is super convenient.
The desk has a small tray built in underneath it for cable management, but we wanted to add a bit more since we'll have a lot of powered electronics on the desk. To start off with, we went online and ordered this cable management attachment known as a raceway, which unfortunately only comes in a few different sizes, meaning we had to order one that was just a touch large. To trim the raceway down to the right size, I went out and bought a small hacksaw from a local shop. I then measured out the length of the raceway, which would fit comfortably under the desk, and started cutting the raceway to the right size. Now, this goes without saying, but please don't try this at home. Hacksaws are pretty gnarly tools. They're super razor sharp, and they'll eat through things like the PVC this raceway is made out of, so please don't try this at home. After cutting, the raceway needs to be fastened to the desk with screws. For this, we use smaller screws with these washers to help hold the raceway in place. Smaller screws are great, since we obviously don't want the screw to be going all the way through the desk, and we want to damage the wood as little as possible. I put in 1 screw on each end, with M helping me hold it up to the right spot, so that the raceway doesn't move as I'm fastening more screws. While it is possible to use double-sided tape instead of screws, double-sided tape probably won't hold up nearly as well as screws will, and we do want this to be fastened securely. After the raceway is up, I can loop in the cable which powers the motor for the standing desk so that it's not just hanging there, but for now, since we have a lot more cables to go into the raceway, I'm leaving it open for the time being. We also use some double-sided adhesive strips to attach a power bar to the bottom of the desk for convenience. Now there's only one last thing before we start assembling things on the desk, and that's to lay down some lighting on the back of the desk. M found this great strip lighting which can be cut down to size, so I measured it against the back of the desk and cut along the appropriate dotted line before sticking it onto the desk with the built-in double-sided tape. Once the lights are fastened, we fixed on the little powering unit, which also conveniently comes with double-sided tape, then plugged in the power supply into our power bar and connected the lights. So the first item we put on the desk is a CalDigit Thunderbolt Station 4. This thing is definitely a bit pricey, but it's the centerpiece of the entire desk and is super helpful for what we do. We want to set up the desk to allow for maximal hot desking between the both of us, where either of us only needs to plug in 1 cable into our respective laptops and have everything connected immediately. This helps us do that since it has a ton of USB ports and an SD card slot, so everything we put on the desk, which is a mainstay, will be plugged into this to allow for that hot desk experience. Totally not sponsored by CalDigit, by the way. This is just pretty universally regarded as one of the best items in its category, and we've personally had a great experience with it. So next up, we put up our 34-inch ultra-widescreen G34 WQC gaming monitor made by Gigabyte. I originally bought this for work when I was still a lawyer so that I could view more documents concurrently, but since then, it's been upcycled into a monitor which we use for editing videos, since the ultra-widescreen resolution also makes it super easy to look at a video timeline on video editing software. The monitor is also conveniently plugged into our dock to make it easily usable by either of us when we're hot desking. Next up, we have 2 of our SanDisk Professional G Drive Pros. These are pretty massive drives which we don't really use on a daily basis, but which we use to store all of our old footage in case we want to refer to any of it. These both have an independent power supply which will fit into the cable raceway later when it's ready to be closed up. We also put a small laptop stand next to the dock to store our laptops when they're plugged in, if we don't want to have them open for an additional screen while we're working. Lastly, we also plugged in our Logitech Brio 4K webcam for video conferencing, which goes into the dock as well. Now it's important to note that since there are a ton of things plugged into the dock, the cable connecting it all to our laptops needs to be a super high-speed cable. We're using this 40GB per second cable, which transfers at super high speeds and is able to support everything we've plugged into the dock, including the monitor. Lastly, for electronics, we also put this lamp which M picked out on the desk, which is also plugged into the power bar underneath the desk. After all of the main electronics have been installed on the desk, it's time to close up the cable raceway. Working from one end to the other, we slide the cover of the raceway on while making sure all of the cables are bundled up and are entering and exiting the raceway at the right spots. We also put the two small power supplies for the G drives directly into the raceway since they fit perfectly. And that's it! The raceway is closed and all of the cables underneath the desk are neatly arranged.
Next up is this internet modem and router which used to sit in our TV stand, but since we sold the stand, they've just been sitting on some quarantine-era workout equipment. So we found this IKEA shelving unit that fit perfectly next to the desk. We try and utilize shelving units as much as possible in our flat because we rent and our landlord doesn't allow drilling into the walls. We also had this additional power bar and some stray cables under the table which didn't look very nice. So we got this Blue Lounge cable management box and swapped the power bar for one which would fit inside. We then put all of the remaining cables inside of the box and tucked it away in the corner. To maximize storage, we got this simple filing cabinet from IKEA to go under the desk for all of the miscellaneous stuff we use regularly but don't want to keep on top of the desk. For the items we use the most, I put them in some trays on top of the cabinet for ease of access. On to the peripherals, starting with the desk mat. We just wanted something simple and easy on the eyes, so we went for the Logitech Studio Series desk mat in gray. As a clumsy person, I also like that it has an anti-slip base and is spill resistant. When we're not using our laptop keyboards, we both like using Apple's Magic Keyboard because it's light and sleek and it's also wireless so we don't have to worry about yet another wire. For my mouse, I use Logitech's MX Master 3, which has been my go-to for years since I used to work as a lawyer. Whether you're drafting contracts or video editing, I think it's great. And although it looks like it might be kind of big if you have small hands like me, I've still found the shape and fit to be super comfortable.
I prefer using a lighter mouse since I've gotten used to using a lighter mouse for video games, so I use a SteelSeries Aerox 3 wireless.
Since I find it relaxing to have plants around while working, I added a couple to the desk. Both are varieties of peperomia, which I chose because they're low maintenance, but they look nice. Back to the desk lamp, which I think is actually a discontinued model from IKEA. The base is a wireless phone charger, but because we're not usually charging our phones during the day, I use it as a plant stand to free up desk space. The lamp is nothing fancy in terms of functionality, but I do really like the minimal design. As for my stationery, almost all of which is from Muji, I've just popped everything into a repurposed glass jar. In order to make use of this right-hand corner of the desk, we added a small shelf for storage. On top of it, we're putting our Shure MV7 microphone, which we use to record voiceovers, including this one. I also added a small portable Pullman light, which is more for mood lighting. I used to use candles on the desk, but I accidentally put one too close to the monitor before and melted the edge, so I decided no more candles on the desk. Once the sun starts to go down, we turn on the strip lighting at the back of the desk using the Wix app on my phone. Although the light has 16 million color options, I personally like setting it to daylight and warmer whites. We've also added a Nanlite Pavo tube to the back of the monitor, although it's not permanent because we also use it for filming videos. And last, but not least, is the desk chair. We're using the Hag Capisco ergonomic chair, which Ecobor also kindly sent us together with the standing desk. Lloyd and I actually tried this chair out when we were visiting Lloyd's sister last summer, and we really liked that the saddle design of the seat made us sit upright, so we were super excited when we received this chair from Ecobor. It can be adjusted from low to high working positions, and I can also sit in it backwards, which is my personal favorite. A huge thank you to Ecobor for the standing desk and chair, which have definitely increased our quality of life at home. If you're based in Hong Kong, we really recommend checking them out for high quality work furniture. All in all, we're happy with how this work from home setup has turned out, which we feel like achieved a good balance between clean, aesthetically pleasing, and functional. And that pretty much wraps things up for the desk tour. We'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below what you think is most important about a workspace and if you think anything is missing from ours. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing because that really helps us. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.